Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show SpinOff. This is your RJ Faisal Ilyas. ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. The business end of the tournament has started. Top 8 teams in ICC Men's T20 World Cup have been divided into 2 groups. We have seen 2 games from Group 2 have already been played, where South Africa won their game against USA. It was a nail-biter game, and England has won their game against the co-hosts West Indies. We'll talk about these 2 games that have been played yesterday and today, and also in Group 1 there will be 2 games, one tonight and one tomorrow morning. The one which is to be played tonight is between India and Afghanistan, and Australia and Bangladesh will be head to head tomorrow morning 5:30 a.m. Alright, so we'll talk about all of these games in today's show, and more importantly we'll also talk about Pakistani team, which has started to come back to Pakistan, and we have seen a lot of old players and the new players criticizing the current team, and 2009 captaincy controversy has also come into fort once again. So a lot to talk about Pakistani players, their performances in this T20 World Cup, and all the repercussions. We have seen players finding it difficult in USA to roam around, and some of the very unfortunate scenes that we have seen, one with Haris Rauf as well. So we'll talk about all of what is happening with Pakistani team, and we have also heard that Pakistani top players Babar Azam, Shahid Afridi and Rizwan, who all of these 3 have been the contenders of the captaincy, will not be seen in the test series that is going to be played against Bangladesh. This also is a big news. So we'll talk about all of this. We'll mainly talk about Pakistani team, which has started to come back from US, and like we said before, that they did not even get a chance to play a single game in West Indies, for which we selected the entire side, because Babar kept telling that Azam Khan, Saim Ayub and even Imad and Amir have made it to the team only because they knew the conditions in West Indies. So we'll talk about the first game in Super 8 between USA and South Africa. USA, who have been the surprise package in this year's T20 World Cup. We have seen them already beating a side like Pakistan, whereby they qualify in the Super 8. They were up against the mighty South Africans, who we expected to win very easily, but that wasn't the case. If we talk about the toss, USA won the toss at Antigua, and they again studied the conditions very well. They asked South Africa to bat first, and South Africa, who have won all of their 4 games in this tournament, did not find it very easy to win this game, but eventually they won the game by 18 runs, and their star wicketkeeper batsman Quinton de Kock managed to score 74 runs in fact of 40 balls, and this is Quinton de Kock's first 50 in this tournament. You can imagine the kind of pitches that South Africa has played on in USA, where the runs were hard to come by, but on this pitch, finally they managed to score a big score, which obviously was enough. But USA also gave a tough fight against South Africa, and at one stage we thought that South Africa could dismantle USA, but it didn't happen, because USA made a lot of comebacks in the game, and eventually they lost the game by 18 runs. Other than de Kock, their captain Aiden Markram also scored quick runs. He scored 46 of 32, and Henrik Larsson scored 36 of 22. Then Stubbs, their flamboyant batsman, could also score good runs. If we talk about USA's bowling performance, their star bowler Trewalker, he again took 2 wickets of 21 runs, and we know that he's a part-time cricketer. He works for Oracle as well, and we've seen some of the posts from Oracle where the organization is appreciating Trewalker, and he deserves all of the appreciation that he's getting, because the kind of bowling that he's been doing is exceptionally well. Alongside him, Harmeet Singh also took 2 wickets. He conceded 24 runs. So all in all, good performance from USA, although they lost the game, but they were in the game till the last over. Like I said, de Kock and Markram managed to put on a good partnership, and because of this partnership, South Africa could score a good total while chasing USA. We will also talk about the breakup of the runs that South Africa scored, because then we'll get to know as to how dominating South Africa was when they were batting. So in power plays, they managed to score 64. They conceded only 1 wicket. Then in 7th to 10th over, they scored 37 runs and they did not concede any wicket. This was the part where there was a difference between USA and South Africa, because if you talk about, when we'll analyze USA's batting, you will see that in the middle overs they struggled, and this is where your spinners come into play. And why we say that Pakistan was lacking in this part is because we did not have quality spinners whereby we could trouble USA. But this was what USA could not do well, because of which they lost the game. But a lot to learn for Pakistan, because we have not been able to come back from this deficiency on spin department. Coming back to how USA batted, USA were also very good in the power plays. They scored 53, they conceded 2 wickets. Then in, like I said, in the middle over 7 to 10 is the time when they struggled, and their captain Aaron Jones also got out in that phase, and he played 5 balls and he did not score any runs. So if you talk about the side losing by 18 runs, this is a lot. I mean, not scoring any run in 5 balls was something that costed USA. But again, South Africa was clinical in spin department, because of which they could win this game. And but a lot of credit goes to USA. They are playing this magnitude of a tournament for the first time, but the way they are playing, the way they are fielding, the way they are approaching the game is outstanding. We also saw their captain was very disappointed when they lost the game, because they were in the game. And if we talk about USA's batting, Andreas Goss, who is the second highest scorer in this year's T20 tournament, he scored outstanding 80 of 47 balls, and he did not get out even. He was at the crease when the game was over. Harmeet Singh was a surprise package. He scored 38 of just 22 balls. So all in all, a good game of cricket where South Africa dominated a bit, but USA also put up a great fight. They lost their first Super 8 game by just 18 runs, but there will not be enough chances in Super 8, because each team will be playing one game against each other. So every game is kind of a knockout game. So USA will find it difficult to qualify for the semi-finals, but we expected them to put up this fight, and they have done it. And a lot to do for South Africa, because like I said, they have played their 4 games initially on grounds where they were very low scoring games, but on this ground they could score big runs, but they did not win against a side like USA by a big margin. So their upcoming games with England and West Indies are going to be the games to watch out for. Alright, some of you guys have sent messages on Shahid Afridi, our senior player and one of the superstars of Pakistan cricket. Your messages are, I'll summarize what you guys are trying to say is that is Shahid Afridi involved in the captaincy controversy that is happening right now, and is he trying to make Shahid Afridi the captain? Because we know that Shahid and Shahid Afridi are both relatives. So I can't comment on it clearly. This could be one of the things, but what I can tell you, I have a very interesting stat in front of me, because Shahid Afridi was also involved in the captaincy controversy when he was playing. And back in 2009 when Pakistan won the T20 World Cup, people say that he was involved in making Yunus Khan go out of the captaincy. So we'll talk about when Shahid Afridi became the captain in 2010, what he could do for Pakistan as a captain. And then you will realize that captaincy is not that easy. For a player like Shahid Afridi, it was difficult to produce results when he was a captain. So let's see what these stats are. So in 2010, Pakistan reached the semi-final in World Cup under his captaincy. Then in 2010 Asia Cup, Pakistan could only win 1 game in the Asia Cup under Shahid Khan Afridi's captaincy. Then Pakistan lost in the semi-final again in the 2011 World Cup. So Pakistan also did not win any trophy under Shahid Afridi's captaincy. In 2006, we had to have the exit in group stage in the World Cup. Then Pakistan won only 2 matches in 2016 Asia Cup. So I don't think with this stats Shahid Afridi will be willing Shaheen Shah Afridi to be the captain of Pakistan, because and these stats are of the time when Shahid Afridi was at his prime as a professional cricketer for Pakistan, but he could not produce results. So captaincy is a completely different ball game, and being a player is a completely different thing. This is why we have spoken about Babar Azam, that he had a good chance to focus on his game when he was removed from captaincy after 2023 World Cup debacle. So this is how it is. And we've also received some of the messages on Babar Azam being given big huge awards after, or rather losing this game to USA. These news are there on social media. We can't comment much about it, but we'll talk about the stats that we have in front of us while Babar has been captain, because we lost against Zimbabwe. We, in the last T20 World Cup, we have lost to USA this time round. So this calls for kind of say investigation, in the sense that we have the habit of losing to these minnow teams in such big tournaments, which is a worrying sign for Pakistan. But we can't talk about the allegations that these popular people on social media are putting on our team. And this is what happens when you lose such a big tournament, and we, with the country of our magnitude who love one sport only, so people will come up with this kind of allegations, but only time will prove as to whether they are correct or not. We'll move our focus towards the game that was played, the second game in Super 8 that was played from Group A between mighty England, who hardly qualified for Super 8, but we know how big the team England is. They are the reigning champions. They are defending their title. And one more important stat about England is that they were the 2010 T20 World Cup champions that was played in West Indies. So now all the games are going to be played in West Indies as co-hosts, because we know that USA only had to host the games in the Super 20 round. So now all the games will be played in England, and England won the game against West Indies by a big margin. We'll talk about this game in complete details as to how England dominated this game. You guys have already sent a lot of messages on our WhatsApp number. Other people can also send messages. Our WhatsApp number is 0314289898. One of the listeners is asking that, do I condemn what has happened to Haris Rauf in USA? Yes, obviously, because he was with the family, and fans have to be in certain control when it comes to interacting with players, because players, when they're with the family, they will not ignore unnecessary conversations. So I really condemn that incident, and we hope that our players come back and they could relax, and then they can focus on the things that they could not manage well for Pakistan. And I'm sure all of these things will be handled professionally. We've already heard our PCB chairman to have some of the changes in the team and some operations to go on. I'm sure all of this will ensure that the cricket loving nation will have their team back in form. Alright, we'll now move our focus towards the second game in Super 8 that was played today morning between England and West Indies. England won the toss, and it was important toss to win, because when you win the toss in these conditions, where conditions do favor to the teams who bat second on this ground called Darren Sammy Cricket Stadium. So England obviously chose to bowl first, and England won this game by 8 wickets with 15 balls to spare. This is a big win, because they were playing against West Indies, who also are coming up in the Super 8 with all of their games. They won with 8 points. But like I said, all of these games will be knockout games, because once you lose, and if you lose by a big margin, your net run rate is going to go negative, which will have the impact when two teams from each group will fight for the semi-final spot. So West Indies had to bat first. They scored 180. They lost only 4 wickets. So one could say that the intention of West Indies was not that clear, because you can't do anything with so many wickets left. They could have had better strike rates, and they could have gone for 200 runs on such a good ground, but this is what they could manage. Johnson Charles, one of their openers, scored 38 of 34. Their captain Nicholas Pooran was also amongst the runs. He scored 36 of 32, and Ravman Powell, one of their top hitters, also scored 36 of 17, and Rutherford, who was the hero of the game against West Indies, he could score against the game against New Zealand, he scored 28 runs of 15 balls. So all in all, good score on a knockout kind of a game, but it was not enough. Again, I'll come back to the spin department of England. Why I am focusing so much on spin department is because in T20 cricket, suddenly spinners have become very, very crucial, because they they put the brakes during the middle of the innings, which we used to do very greatly when Sarfaraz Ahmed was the captain. If you guys could remember, we were the top team back in 2019 when Babar took on the captaincy, and now we are 7th ranked team in the world. Mainly because of the spin department, the Shadab's failure and not bringing in Abrar is costing us so much. But England have done so well in the spin department. And if you look at these stats in yesterday's game, all of the wickets were from the spinners. Moeen Ali took 1 wicket, he conceded 15, and Livingston, who is their part-time bowler, he also took 1 wicket. Part-time leg spinner, he took 1 wicket. Adil Rashid, who is their main leg spinner, he bowled 4 overs, conceded just 21 runs, which is like 5 runs per over economy, and he also took 1 wicket. So spinners were the bowlers who put the brakes on West Indies. And if we talk about breakdown of West Indies batting, they scored 54 for no loss in the power play. Then in the middle over, where spinners put the brake on, they could only score 28, and in 11 to 15 overs they scored 55, conceded 2 wickets. Then between 16 and 20 overs, again not many runs scored, 43 of 20. Eventually West Indies scored 180 and conceded 4 wickets. We'll talk about England's chase, which was dominated by the man of the match in this game, Phil Salt, outstanding batsman. We saw him in the PSL as well as to what he can do. He scored 87 of just 47 balls. Coming back to this game, England scored 181, chasing 181's target in 17.3 overs. So they won the game with 15 balls to spare, which is going to help their net run rate by a significant margin. And their chase was dominated by their star batsman, opener batsman Phil Salt, who is whenever he plays outstandingly well with good strike rate. He scored 87 of just 47 balls, and he was the man of the match as well. Then the second best performance came from Johnny Bairstow. He scored 48 of 26, and trust me, I was seriously not feeling great with Johnny Bairstow until this point, because I was thinking that he should have been replaced with David Malan, who's been the great player for England. But credit goes to England to choose the right players for the right situations, and Johnny Bairstow, who was struggling in this tournament, scored greatly in this game, and especially he was great in the middle overs. That we see that middle overs are the ones where your team has to have players who can accelerate during that point in time. And for me, teams who plan well for the middle overs are the ones who are going to win the World Cup, and especially with the batting of England and the kind of spinners they have in the middle, they do have that advantage, and they are the reigning champions as well. They look very prepared. The way they have played this game, it's outstanding, because beating West Indies with such a big margin is not that easy task. If we break down England's batting into power play and middle overs, in power play they could score 58. They did not concede any wicket in the power play, and we know what kind of a batter Butler and Salt are. They had a partnership of 67 runs before Butler got out, and Salt continued his onslaught against the West Indies until he finished the game in just 17.3 overs. In the middle over, 7 to 10 overs, they scored 25. They conceded just 1 wicket. Then in 11 to 15, they scored 58, conceded just 1 wicket. And with 16 to 17.3, they scored 40 runs without losing a wicket. So if you compare both these teams, England was outstanding throughout, but especially in the middle order, in the middle overs, and in the last 2-3 overs, they were outstanding. West Indies could only score 43 in their last 4 overs, whereas England scored 40 runs in just 2.3 overs if we talk about the death batting. So England has a great win, and this is not just going to give them 2 points, but their net run rate is also very positive after this game. Now when we see the next games that these two teams have to play, England will be up against South Africa on 21st, which is tomorrow, and they'll be playing in Darren Sammy Cricket Stadium in St. Lucia. And West Indies, who have lost this game, will be playing against another team who has lost lost their game against South Africa, which is USA. They'll be playing their game at Kingston Oval, Barbados on 22nd of June, that is day after tomorrow. So I think this is a very good setup for West Indies, because now they have a chance to win a game against USA, which will be a weaker side compared to any other side in this group. And England will also have a good chance to win against South Africa and confirm their place in the semi-finals. Alright, but today another big games coming up. In fact, one is going to be played tonight at 7:30 p.m. and the other game is going to be played tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. The first game to be played, and both of these games are from Group 1, and I'm sure all of the fans in India and Pakistan will be waiting for this game between India and Afghanistan, because they also have kind of friendly rivalry where we see that Afghanistan does not put up a good effort, and we see that Virat Kohli kind of players come into form in these kind of games. So a lot to look forward to for the game between India and Afghanistan, which will be played tonight, and tomorrow morning is the game between Australia and Bangladesh. So we'll talk about in both these games in detail. The next game is a big one again. This game will be between Australia and Bangladesh. We have seen that Australia have won all the games so far in this tournament, and they will be up against Bangladesh, who have won 3 games, and they could hardly qualify for the Super 8. We can say this because they've played all of the very close games, but they should be well prepared for this game. And this game is going to be played in Sir Viv Richards Stadium in Antigua. And like I said, all of these games will now be played in West Indies conditions, where we have seen that teams like Australia, England and India have done well historically, because now all of these teams have good spinners, good planning, and with Australia they have a very good combination of senior and new players. And I am waiting for the games like Australia and England, where 2 top sides will be playing. But this game will also be exciting. I'm sure Bangladesh will put up a great fight, and if we look at the stats of the ground, Viv Richards Stadium, teams batting first have won 2 games and teams batting second have won 3 games. So nothing much to choose, and toss might not be that critical, but the most critical thing will be as to how Bangladesh is going to put up a fight. Alright, so time for me now to say goodbye. There are a lot of things to be discussed about Pakistani players and the things that are going on with the team. I expect you guys to send a lot of messages so that we could talk about those topics about Pakistani team, because they are already out of the tournament and players have already come back. Some of the players have already come back. Some of the players are staying in US. Some players are staying in Dubai. So I'm sure all of the things will start happening after the entire team is here in Pakistan. With this, I would say goodbye to all of you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.